Still trying to get used to that. So, don't mind. My daughter wanted to learn more about makeup. And I told you guys many times that I am not the guru of makeup, okay? But just because I don't know a lot about it that does not mean that I can't, apply it. Matter of fact, I actually, I went to 2 different, I guess, one is actually a makeup studio. The other one is a high-end store department, brand name store, Christian Dior. I don't know if a lot of you guys know that name, but I do. And I'm letting my age show today. And so the reason why I don't use makeup is because my skin's not built for it. So I can't use foundation because it'll make my face look very matte. And I found that out when the makeup artist at Christian Dior was putting the makeup on my face, and he was like trying his hardest, and Mil maquillage or whatever wasn't created at that time, right? Maquillage or whatever. And so, I mean, he nailed the shadows and of course the lip color, but if you put any foundation on my face, it's going to look disgusting. So I normally don't use any type of makeup. It's all natural. I mean, like, I know people question the integrity of my skin because they're like, do you use Botox? And I'm like, no, I just put moisturizer every now and then. Never used makeup while I was growing up, and try to be a good person. Some people might call me, like, some people might say I'm a very mean person, but there's a difference between being a mean person and being a prudent person, and I think a lot of these people, they fail to see that I'm not a mean person. I have good intention behind what I do, but if you overstep my line because you think I'm extra kind, which I am, and the thing about kindness is kindness enables tolerance, and I learned that after a while, that kindness does enable tolerance, and tolerance causes you to be treated very badly. Kindness enables tolerance, and tolerance enables abuse, psychological abuse, mental abuse, and sometimes even physical abuse for women who are in relationships. And so I have a limit to my kindness. And there are points where if someone treats me badly, then I am going to dish you back what you dish to me, so you understand how it feels to be treated in that manner. And there's a lot of women, and even some men, who it's hard for them to digest that type of dynamic because they always have to be on top. And it's like, that's great. But I think what happened was you fucked around with so many people's emotions, and you made people feel so miserable that God said, okay, karma's gonna hit you with that girl. I'm gonna send her to you, and you're gonna have to deal with her shit. But I don't intentionally try to belittle anyone. I don't intentionally try to hurt anyone's feelings, but I will not tolerate that disrespect, because like I said, kindness does enable tolerance, and tolerance is accepting disrespect and accepting bad behavior and accepting abuse from people when you really shouldn't. And so, if you were to ask people about me, you'll have a mix of feedback. You have people that will mix me up with my sister, and then you have people who will actually give you some a real story about me, and the two stories will differ. You'll have people who love me and they're like, she's an awesome person and she's really great and she's XYZ. And then you'll also have people that'll be like, yeah, she's a really goody two shoe. And then you have people that'll be like, no, she's really mean, she's a fucking dragon lady. And they're all right. They're all right. It depends on who you ask. It really depends on who you ask. If you ask like certain people and they're like, she's a dragon lady, then automatically you did something really bad to her and she didn't tolerate your shit. The ones who are kind and they have really great, if they have really great memories of me, then we actually know each other. We actually know each other. If they have stories of me being a goody two shoe, we may have actually known each other, or they may just have been someone that observed me, you know. So it kind of it varies. It depends, you know, who you're talking to. And I'll tell you what, only the ones that mix me up with my older sister, because she's kind of criminal. Shit, you not, bro. My sister was kind of criminal. Like, we all knew that if there's any criminal shit that anybody could demise, it would be her. So my dad, he would play games with us. Like, my dad, he always took the time to sit down and talk stories with us, and we'd all have story time, and we'd, you know, chit chat and stuff like that. And there was one time where my dad was like, okay, you know, Christianity, we don't believe in future telling and all that stuff, right? No, I was raised Catholic, right? So Catholic is Christian. Judaism, same thing. We don't believe in that stuff. You know, there's some mysticism back there, but you know, bottom line is we don't believe in witchcraft. But we would all take polls on who would be what in their life, you know, in the future. That sister, she was voted to be the least likely to be on America's Most Wanted. And so yeah. And mine was most likely what was mine? I can't remember, and I ain't gonna make a I can't remember, but when it comes back, maybe I'll share it with you, right, for some tea time. But yeah, so, you know, the Christian Dior makeup artist, he couldn't find the right foundation. Apparently my skin can't use foundation, okay? But and it's today we learned that my daughter's the same way. Her skin is the same way. She can't use foundation. It'll look all like matte and stuff. But he nailed the shadow and he nailed the lipstick. He nailed it, but I couldn't. So I actually had to go to like Sephora and purchase one of those one-on-one sessions. And they were teaching me how to apply my makeup. So yeah, good job. Unfortunately, she couldn't nail the Pikachu look. Because I went back 2 times. One time it was to teach me how to do the smoky eye look and how to blend my eyeshadow, and the second time was to do my makeup for my Halloween costume at that time, and it was Pikachu. So she really fucking bombed on that. She bombed so bad. One of my friends on my personal Facebook was like, I am so sorry that happened to you. And I was like, what is this wrong? And she was like, she screwed up your face. And I was like, well, thank God it's just a costume. Yeah, this is passable, and thank God, you know, like I didn't have to pay her much. And I never went back there again. But then on another note, you know, shortly after that, maybe a couple years after that, that's when, you know, I got that strong calling for God. But yeah, there's a lot of things that is going around the world. Don't get scared because of the makeup. I'm not going through some crisis, and I'm not going out, even though if it's sunny now. So, it's been raining for the past several days, 4 days. What is this? Yeah, Thursday. It started on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The worst should have hit on Friday, but you know, God is so good. Like, God is so good. Where we live, it wasn't windy. Maybe the second day it was windy. Friday evening it was slightly windy. I woke up in the middle of the night because, you know, I could hear the wind. And Saturday, all it did was rain. And the following day, today, it rained this morning, and now, you know, it's really sunny. Apparently, you can see from behind me that it's super sunny, and it wasn't bad here, where I am, where we live. I mean, they said that the wind was going to whip down through the mountain, and you know, it was really calm. You know, God is so good. God is so good. It was really calm. The water, the ocean out front, it was okay. I mean, nothing really here. We didn't go out, so I didn't even go out to look at the rain. I just opened up my curtain and I could see it. And for the most part, yesterday and the day before, the rain was kind of hard. It rained hard, but I mean, there was nothing really bad that happened. And it seemed like everyone around me that lives around, they secured their homes. And they were doing some trimming on their trees. So, I mean, nothing much really where we live. But the North Shore and Wailua and Kaneohe side, the east side, oh, they got hit really badly on this island. Yeah, so we're not on the east side. We're actually more central, if anything. And so we're not even town. Town got hit bad. Town got hit really bad. Waikiki was hit and was flooded. Like the sewer, I guess the not sewage, but then the manholes were plugged up, or there was just too much, wasn't enough flow down there, that it was flooding the roads. And Wailua, the dam was about to break, and just people's houses were underwater. And I'm talking about like chest deep. They were walking in the water. And Haleiwa as well. Haleiwa North Shore side was flooded out. Yeah, I think those were the main areas that got hit on our island. On Maui, oh, you guys seen someone's house went falling into Iao Valley River. And the thing about Iao Valley is, Iao Valley is beautiful. Like a couple times we went up there, I flew up there with my parents, and then several times on my own. And Iao Valley is super beautiful, and the riverbed is really wide. So I mean, it was kind of a shock, but not really, you know. For those who lived there for a long time, erosion is a thing, you know, and with the waters rushing down and, you know, the flash floods and stuff, it was inevitable that it would break away at the beds. And one thing that I just can't understand, this is the thing I just don't understand. These people, they know that there's a storm, right? So we have people on island. They know that there's a storm. They know that they shouldn't be driving on the road. But we have tourists driving around the island. They're driving around the island and they're getting stuck. And then we have, you know, individual people chancing it with their SUV as if they can just bullet through the water and you know, they'll be fine, and they get stuck in the middle of the stream. And it's like, bruh, the stream is overflowing. Don't drive through there. You're gonna get stuck, and it's a stream. So where does the stream end? The stream will end in the ocean. So the stream's gonna end in the ocean. You fucking bows it through that freaking road over a stream that is overflowing, and you and your car will end up in the ocean. So here, you know, it's not like a huge river where it snakes around and then there's more like more land. Here you get swept away in a stream in about less than 10 minutes, in about less than 5 minutes, okay? Not 10, 5. In less than 5 minutes, I would say even 3 or maybe even 1. It depends on how close you are to the shore. You're gonna end up in the fucking ocean. And if you end up in the ocean, then, you know, it's going to be hard to find you. One, the wind is against you. Two, it's murky. The water is murky. They can't see shit. All you're going to see is red. Like right now, you look outside the window, you look into the ocean, it's red. Certain places might be green. I mean, not green, but then certain places might be clear. But for the vast majority, if they're next to a river, if they're next to a stream, the water's red. It's dirt red, dirt brown. Okay, so Hawaii here, the dirt here, depending on where you are, especially on Kauai Island, the dirt is red. We got red dirt. so when you look out into the ocean, it's going to be like a reddish brown color. And if it's that reddish brown color, it's going to be very hard to find you. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, they can't find a person in murky water. I'm just saying on a windy, rainy day and the water is murky, it is hard to find a person in a murky water. And then you got the snow caps you gotta deal with. And for those of you who don't know what snow caps are, it's, you know, when the water is so choppy that it looks like little mountains with snow caps on the top. Although from the shore, when you're looking at it, it looks like nothing, right? It looks like, oh, those are tiny little, you know, bumps. But when you see the snow cap on the top, that means it's freaking rough. Out there and you're on the surface of the sea, then you'll be tossed around like a freaking, you'll be tossed around, and it's not gonna be fun. And this is speaking through experience. When we would go out fishing and there were snow caps, sometimes we would balls it, sometimes we wouldn't. But when we did balls it, like it was I got seasick. I normally don't get seasick. I'm a person who loves being on the ocean. And the first time I ever got seasick was because we were, it was Kaena Point. It was Kaena Point. No, Kaena Point ain't got no snow caps. That shit is some big ass waves. And you're going to feel yourself, if you're sitting in the ball like I was, because I was super ass sick, getting slammed. Because every time the boat would go up, it would come down, and the bow would come down, and it would slam on the water, and I would feel it, and I would like... I would get sicker, but you know, I survived Kaena Point. It's fun. It was fun in the beginning because I like going up, but coming down those swells, not so much fun. And like in the beginning when we first started and the swells were kind of peaking, you know, I would sit up on the top of the boat, and I would have the time of my life until when we came down, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. I think I'm gonna get thrown off of the boat. Yeah, when we were coming down, there's this little opening on the top. I freaking backflipped that shit and went back in. It was like, you know how people dive and then they backflip into the water? I backflipped right into that hole, right down. And I said, fuck that. I'm feeling sick right now. I don't want to get tossed out of the boat with this water, because I know I ain't gonna make it. But yeah, the whole island, almost the whole island, is freaking flooded. But you know, God is so good. Where I live, there was no floods, no broken trees, no nothing. I mean, I heard the ambulance, or was it the police, sirens throughout the night, but you know, for the most part, it was pretty peaceful. You know, God's blessing is always good. You know, God is so good, and that's why you pray. You lift up prayers, and always try to do good by people, because regardless of what people say about you, God knows the whole story. You know, so like that's the difference between man and God. A man will know what he can know, but God knows everything. So it's not like how people manipulate other people to see people a certain way. God can see right through their heart, so there's no explanation. God knows. He sees right through their heart. He doesn't have to have secondhand information. Unlike, you know, mankind, you know, you get information, and information sometimes can be manipulated, you know. And so the graces of God is always upon those who call upon him, and the graces of God are always upon those who who abide by his laws. And, you know, sometimes you have people that don't even believe in him, or people who turn their back and they still abide by his laws unknowingly, and they still get blessed, you know, because God's word is eternal. What he says is eternal. Every promise he makes, he keeps. But every consequence that every law that you break, he also keeps that too. So it's never like one-sided. Oh, you're just going to bless me because everything that I do good is a blessing. But, you know, he also counts the bad things you do. And that's why when I would minister, and when I was a Christian minister, like people would say, you know, they don't believe in God. I would tell them, hey, regardless if you believe in him or not, he's still true. He's still real. Regardless if you believe in him or not, he's still real. And his laws applies and his blessings apply. So maybe you have an influx, you have this surge of blessings coming your way. That's God's promises. And maybe you're going through a difficult time. It could be a test, or it could be your consequence. Whatever it may be, if you truly believe in God and if you love God with all your heart, then you trust him. You'll automatically trust him that, you know what, might be hurting right now, but I trust God. It's in my best interest. I understand. And the things that you fear, when those things come knocking at your door, then you also trust that he's going to either one, block it, or he is going to make it less of a burden for you. You know, in everything, just trust God. That's all. You know, everybody wants to trust in their own authority, and they want things the way they want it. And I think that's where people go wrong. When they want it, they envision their whole success the way they want it, and they envision all their prayers answered the way they want it, when God already answered their prayer, but it is in a way that they didn't anticipate it. You know, you are not to tell God how to answer your prayers. You lift it up to him and he just answers it. And it's your duty to figure out to accept it and see, oh yeah, my prayer was actually answered. Many times that happened where it was like my prayer was answered. Yes, I can hear you from up here, you guys. It's freaking out. I tell you, some people, they're so mahaoy. Fucking mahaoy. So one of the tactics of the Democratic Party, right, and all these, you know, protesters, is to be noisy. They like making noise because they like bother your peace. And sometimes, you know, like I said, I was in politics. Had people that pull that shit with me. They make noise because they think that they're bothering my peace, but it's like, you don't know what I know. So you go ahead and make all that noise because it's not bothering me. Noise no bother me like you. My life is different. I was built a different way. So you can make all the noise you want. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't even give a fuck. Matter of fact, 10% of it I can't even fucking hear. It's the beauty of being a veteran. So fuck you. But speaking of being a veteran. Speaking of being a veteran. Okay, so the VA decided to come up with a fucking stupid fucking decision. And the VA announced that they want to create a conservatorship for veterans. Yep. They want to place certain veterans in guardianship. And, you know, all my veterans, please listen up, because this shit's going to affect you. You know why? Because you never know who's working for the fucking VA. And the reason why, for me, this thing comes up as a concern, I'll show you the story. But after I share with you facts about, you know, the different organizations that work with veterans. So the Iraq, Afghanistan Veterans of America, NPO advocacy group said, you know, that's a bad idea. They're fighting against that because they know that to reverse guardianship is going to take a fucking law. It's an uphill battle. Once a person is placed in guardianship or conservatorship, it's hard to get them out. The reason why is because the person who holds conservatorship will be the determining factor. And if that person is a rotten ass person, then you're never getting out of guardianship. And that person can exploit you. Like they did with Britney Spears. Her father exploited her. He fucking worked her ass even when she didn't want to work. And the reason why he would do that is because he would take her back to fucking court. And he could actually punish her. And we have all these different veterans. And some of these veterans, these veterans are the ones that are actually going to protect our country if it ever got invaded. In all honesty. This conservatorship. So to me, I look at it as a way to take away arms. Possibly take away arms from those veterans who bear arms. And who would be the ones to protect our country if our country were to get taken over. If we were to have like a country if we were to have like a takeover in our fucking country, who do you think is going to be up there front line? Going to be your veterans. Going to be the police department, going to be the veterans, going to be the National Guard. But the National Guard has to be activated. Police department has to be dispatched. Fucking veterans find out in a heartbeat, but they'll be down there with their weapons. You put them in conservatorship, then that can also take, whoever's overseeing them can take away their weapons, can take away their Second Amendment. You have no idea how this guardianship and conservatorship will affect the veterans and the safety of this country. When they came after when the Democrats came after the Second Amendment, guess who fought it? It was the veterans. The veterans caught wind of that, and they said, "Fuck no, you're not going to take away that." But if a person who is under conservatorship, what can possibly happen there is somebody gonna stop them. Their guardian. Oh, you better not do that, or I'm going to take you. Oh, we're going to restrict. Okay, now you can't have. Now your finances and your funding is gone. You see the manipulation that happens to veterans, to anyone who's in conservatorship or guardianship. Britney Spears was fucking human trafficked by her fucking father because he had conservatorship. How do you say, how was she human trafficked? She had to work even when she wasn't even feeling well. Even when she didn't want to perform, she still had to perform. Why? Because of him. He made her do it. Why? Because he was her conservator. He was her guardian. Who's to say, like our female veterans, who's to say that these motherfuckers are not going to try to do the same shit to you? And the very entity that should be protecting veterans are now placing them in a position where you take away their rights. You're taking away the veterans' rights by placing them in conservatorship. So they say, oh, okay, they're not taking care of themselves medically. Oh, okay, so some of the veterans are homeless. And it's like, okay, so if it's in that case that they are homeless and they're not seeking help, then why are you going to take away their guardianship? I mean, like, they have a social worker already. They should have a social worker. They should have a social worker who's guiding them. In that case where it is that extreme, then yeah, maybe. But they're looking at almost half the population of veterans. And then they're also looking at, that's how manipulation starts. That right there, that's how manipulation starts. And the last thing you want to do is how much people not going to want to get in the military because of that? Yeah. Do you know how many people are going to stop joining the military because of that? Because they're going to look at the veteran and say, man, that shit going to be me. Fuck that. You got to have an incentive for people to want to lay their life down. But if they know that they're going to lay their life down and then be treated like shit after they get out, you know how many people not going to join? The only reason that we're on top of the fucking world right now is because we have a strong force. But if you guys keep fucking around with the veterans and you keep fucking around with our benefits and you keep fucking around with, like the service members who are still in, I'm still in, then this is what's going to happen. You're going to have the hardest time to get recruitment. Nobody's going to want to join, because they're going to look at that and say, fuck that, man. After I get out, instead of getting my benefits, they're going to put me in guardianship. And then you're going to see the force just dwindle. People are going to be like, nah, I would rather take my chances protesting with Free Palestine. And I wouldn't blame them. I'll be like, yeah, bro, if you're going to get on a freaking $1,000 check every fucking month, then go ahead, do your thing. Because you take that route, you're going to end up in guardianship like three-fourths of the population of them. 3/4 of the population, they're not going to want to join. Why? Why do you think they're not going to join? Because guess what? You're going to fuck around with the veterans like that. It's going to be, there are a lot of veterans. There are a lot of veterans out there that have influence on social media. There are a lot of veterans out there who have been public that are public figures and engaged in the public. So if you're gonna fuck around the veterans like that and put them in guardianship, 3/4 of the fucking veterans in guardianship just because they're going through a difficult fucking time, then have fun with that. Because I tell you what, if you're gonna see the military force go for the recruitment, ain't gonna be that great. Recruitment's not gonna be that great, because if anybody knows anything, they always want to set themselves up for success. Why would anyone want to set themselves up to have a guardian after they retire or after they get out? Some of the benefits of being a military service member is the VA, is the fact that you can get free medical for the rest of your life after you serve, is the educational benefits after you serve. That's the whole point. That was a recruiting checkpoint. That was a recruiting selling point. That, hey, after you serve, you can get free medical for the rest of your life. After you serve, you have education benefits. After you serve, you may have registration fees waived. And those benefits became recruiting points. People would be like, yeah, fuck yeah. I know many people when I was in college. I wasn't in the service yet. And I had veterans that were in my class. And these veterans would talk about that. They would say, I'm a veteran. I got out. I got all these benefits. And it looked really good. And that was a selling point. That was a selling point for many people. It was a selling point for me too. So I was like, shit, man, they sound really like really good options. But my eye was set to get in 9/11. 9/11 was when I first 9/11 was the reason why I wanted to join. Fuck yeah, let's go. I was still boxing. I said, fuck yeah, I might as well just use my boxing and all my experience and take it to somewhere that can be useful, where I'm not gonna go to jail. And so that was a selling point for me. It was either between that or the police station or the HPD. God had many different plans. But, the advocacy groups that are against this initiative to place veterans under guardianship, they know what they're talking about. They worked with the community, the veteran community, and the what they requested was better policy initiatives, which included expanding the healthcare access, because the thing about VA is you don't have access to everything. You have a percentage. Sometimes there's this percentage rate, and then that'll determine what kind of benefits you have. And so expanding the healthcare access and funding mental health status to help maintain stability and independence would probably be the better bet. So Iraq Afghanistan Veterans of America advocacy group, they actually will hit the hammer on the nail, because that's basically what they need. You have veterans who have a 30% rate, and they're not getting much. But then the problems that they have stop them from working. They can't work because the type of injury they have. And sometimes some of the injuries that they have, you can't see it. So you can't see the injury that they have. You can't. There's some that are obviously injured. They have a disability, maybe their finger, maybe their leg, maybe their arm, maybe they have gut issues, maybe respiratory issues. A lot of them have migraine headaches, and that's because of all the things that they're exposed to when they do go out, when they do deploy, and they don't get the rating that they actually need to keep them afloat. And so when you take away their rights and you place them in guardianship, someone else has that right. And what if you place them into the hands of someone that has no real good intentions for them? Like, that would make things worse. You don't know a person's heart today. A person can smile at you and be the nicest person, but deep down in their heart, it's dead black, and you'll never know that because that's not you in the other person's shoe. It's not you in the shoe of the victim of that will be the person who will be the victim for that black-hearted individual. You don't know. And so I think I agree with Iraq Afghanistan Veterans of America advocacy group that rather than taking away their rights, because it's going to be very hard to reverse that guardianship, and I don't think any veteran deserves to die in the hands of the guardianship of someone who's going to shit on them. Or maybe not even shit on them, but someone who may not have the best intention for them. I think expanding the healthcare access and funding their mental health status to a point that will help them maintain and be stable would be a lot better. It would be a better option for these veterans. Now, let me give you a story of my own. This is a personal story of mine. Yes, I'm a veteran. There was this guy who worked at the VA. He was in the Human Resources Department. He knew he was in the Human Resources Department. He knew that I was a veteran, but he wanted to get close to me. This guy is married, and he has some association with China or some shit like that. So he calls me up to talk about a friend that passed away from suicide. And I guess he knew that I was in suicide prevention. And yes, I was the advocate for Hawaii to, not lobby, but to lock in the 988 number, the funding for the 988 number here in Hawaii. And so he knew that, suicide prevention was my passion. So, he would text me, and I would, or he would call me, or he would text me. And I, like I said, kindness is tolerance, right? And that's why sometimes, see, you can't be kind, because kindness is tolerance, and you'll tolerate shit from people that you really shouldn't. And so I know that this guy, he's married, but I thought that he was, seeking my, my help because of my background in suicide prevention and advocacy, and being able to provide that apply my training anyway. So being able to apply the intervention. And so he would call me, and he's not talking about his friend anymore. He segued into his personal life, and he would call me every day. And I told him, hey, you know what? I think you're doing okay, and I really think that, I think you're okay. I think, you don't need to, have these conversations much anymore, and in many words, I was trying to tell him, like, stop calling me, because he seemed fine. He was segueing into a relationship. He was trying to step into a relationship with me, and I didn't want that, because one, I knew he was married, because the Democrat Party is it's a small party. We all know shit about each other, and I knew he was married, and I knew his wife was in California. That's right, motherfucker. I knew your wife was in California. And so this guy is trying to fucking cheat on her, and he's trying to pretend like he's not married. And so I realized that, hey, this guy is mentally stable. He's fine. Then he asked me to stay with him for a weekend at one of the hotels down in Waikiki, downtown. And I went, excuse me? I was like, do you know that I'm a mom? I said, no. Don't ask me these questions. I'm not interested in going to no hotel with you. And I am a mom. What am I supposed to do? Leave my daughter? Leave my daughter for you? You fucking crazy? And then I told him, don't talk to me. Don't call me. I'm not interested in you in that way. I'm not going to be interested in you in that way ever. Please don't call me. Please don't talk to me. Please stop texting me. And I blocked him. Now this guy works for the HR at VA. After that, a lot of shit went wrong. After that, a lot of my shit went wrong. There were things that were going crazy. And it was after I shut his ass down. Now, should I have shut him down? Ask you guys. I'm going to ask you guys that. Should I have shut him down? Yeah, I should have. Because he's married. Was I kind enough to tolerate his shit? Yeah. I should have had told him to call the crisis hotline. Even though if I have that background to provide intervention with him, I should have told him, you know what, I think maybe call 988 and, you know, they can help you further than I can. Oh, but it would be hard because I'll be lying, you know, because I can provide that intervention and he knows. But it put me in this situation where I have somebody from the VA, an HR, a human resources person, that can really fuck around with my shit. And that's why when I seen that guardianship, I said, man, if he had the choice, I would be the first person he'd probably put in guardianship, and he'd probably want to be my guardian. And you know what would happen to me? I would become a fucking victim. But you know what else would have happened to me? What would happen to him? He would be a fucking victim too. Because I don't give a fuck. Yeah, take whatever the fuck you want, motherfucker. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna adhere to. I'm not gonna let you do anything that would make me defile myself for your fucking dumbass. So I don't think that placing any veteran in guardianship is a good idea, especially females, and then even males too. Because if you think that women wouldn't, if you think women, if you think that they wouldn't target a male, they would. If you think that these females who have a thing for some of these males, because some of these, they're in shape, and some of them are fucking out of shape, but you know, for those veterans who maintain themselves, and for those who still live by the code, then by the creed or code, whatever you guys want to call it. Trying not to give out too much information, but then you're gonna still maintain your body. And who's to say you don't have a fucking sleazy ass female who wants to try and exploit you? You never know. So I think this whole conservative guardianship is some bullshit things. Honestly, I don't think it's a really great idea, especially with the experience that I had. And is he still a person in HR? I fucking don't know. I didn't talk to that person for a fucking long time, and I ain't gonna talk to that person, because you know that was a sleazy ass move that he tried. But, you know, you're going to victimize a lot of good people by placing them in guardianship and conservatorship. And, you know, you're going to also lose a lot of recruits in the military. You're going to lose a fucking lot of recruits if they find out that, oh, man, after I freaking serve, I'm going to end up in guardianship. Fuck, I'm going to end up in guardianship. They're going to take away my rights. How many people you think gonna sign up for the military? They're gonna be like, fuck that, man. I would rather take my chances in trade school, or I would rather take my chances in freaking college, because then at least I gonna have a life. At least I'll have a life. And I'll tell you what, there's going to be an increase in suicides. You guys do that. If you guys fucking do that to the veterans, you're gonna end up freaking, maybe you might be able to save a few. But I think if you place a majority of the veterans, or veterans who really will be seriously affected by that guardianship and conservatorship, then you definitely going to have more suicides. And that ain't going to be nobody's fault but your guys for making that stupid ass decision to place people in guardianship, to place people in conservatorship. So, you know, I I didn't have the best experiences, but I have experiences enough to say that placing someone in guardianship would be a really bad idea. Because, I mean, like, if you have a veteran in guardianship and they feel that the only way to get out is to take their life, then they might just do it. Or they'll just renounce their veteranship, their veteran status. You know, they can renounce their veteran status. Hey, keep your fucking benefits and your money. I would rather have my freedom. I'd rather go to a different freaking country and freaking live there. You're gonna lose a good amount of, you're gonna lose a very strong community of people who uphold this country, of people who served this country, of people who don't deserve that treatment. You know, because I think, you know, in that case, rather than having the guardianship, then just say, fuck it, keep your shit. I'm going to go and, you know, serve somewhere else. You know, and it's just a damn shame that you guys would place veterans in guardianship and conservatorship like that may not need it. Just may not need it. Let's just put them in there because, okay, we'll look at the stats, but, you know, that's just obnoxious. And I don't think that the recruitment I don't think that it'll do justice for the future of the military if people know that they're going to end up in guardianship. If people know that, oh shit, man, you're going to end up in conservatorship after you freaking serve. You know how many people can be like, no, fuck that. I'm not gonna, no, thank you. That's going to definitely ruin the recruitment 100%. And because you have the testimony of all those people who are in conservatorship, and the ones who do testify are sane. You know, there's no way of slapping a crazy label on someone when you can tell that they are not sane. They are sane. When you can tell, there's no use in slapping a crazy label on someone when they talk and you can tell they're sane. Something else is going on here. They have complete, you know, cognitive comprehension. It's just there's something screwy going on here. Personally, I don't think conservatorship or guardianship is going to do anyone justice. That's definitely not going to help anybody. But, you know, hopefully, you know, any veterans watching this, just heads up. That's what we got to look forward to. We got guardianship to look forward to, everybody. Conservatorship. Yeah, we were under the iron fist while we were there, and now we got other things to worry about. Now we got conservatorship and guardianship to worry about. Under the hands of someone who might try to exploit us. Because, I mean, maybe the intention of this whole guardianship may have been a good idea, but you never know. Up here, you have the idea. Here, you have the people doing the work. And it's normally in this area here is where the corruption begins. It's never on the top. Where did the corruption come from with Somalia? The Somalian fraudsters, okay? Yeah, there was some corruption on the top. She was watching over them, making sure that they're okay. But the bulk of the corruption came from that middle area, from the nonprofit organizations that were starting and all the lies that they paid people off to cover. Like every person that they came across, they were paying them off. That's where the corruption is. It's the middle, not the top. The top was the one watching over them. Probably she knew everything that was going on, but the bulk of the issue, the bulk of the corruption came from the middle section. And that's where the bulk of this corruption will come from. The guardianship and the conservatorship, the bulk of that corruption is going to be from that middle section. Not from the top. Not from the top that said, hey, this is a good idea, guys. Let's just do that. You guys have good intention. But the middle area right here, the workers, that workforce that's going to actually implement your idea, they don't have the same heart that you have. They don't have the same heart that you have or the same intention that you had when you said, okay, let's implement this. And I'm not saying that in a generalized sense, because there are some people that actually step into their jobs and they genuinely care about these people. But there are a good majority of them that look for an opportunity. The reason why they look for an opportunity is because look at the poverty. Raising high prices and just the cost of living, a high cost of living breeds corruption. Or maybe not the cost of living, maybe the idea and the concept of you need to have money to be happy. That's where it's breeding the corruption, because everybody thinks they need a lot of money to be happy. You need to be $1 million, a millionaire to be happy. So everybody does that. But how many people can actually do it in a way where they've worked hard for it without cutting corners? If that were the case, then we wouldn't have a whole corrupt, fraudulent issue with Somalia in Minnesota. If that were the case, then that wouldn't have happened. But that was the case, because they wanted that high life. They wanted that rich life. Why? Because they bought into they bought into the dream of the rich life is a better life, not the honest life is a better life. The honest life is always the better life. But now we have this conservatorship shit to deal with too. You know, we have floods. Not in my area. God is good. And I pray for everybody who's dealing with the floods, man. I hope, you know, man, that's going to be hard. People lost their houses. The fucking infrastructure of the roads in that section collapsed. I think Kauai is still feeling the wrath of the storm. Oh, not Kauai. Is it Kauai or Maui? Maui and Big Island is feeling the wrath of the storm. For us on my island right here, obviously it's sunny. And God is good. You know, just keeping everybody else who's dealing with all that in prayer. You know, it's hard. I feel so bad watching people's houses get swept away. Watching people get swept away. Now another thing, for everybody on island. Now, try not to run into the ocean just yet. You know, the weekend, yeah. There's this Hawaiian saying, after the rain, you let the water settle. After the water settles, then you go back into the ocean. Because when it is murky, well, after a rain like this, after a huge rain, where it cleans the mountain out and where it cleans all the lepo off the island, that lepo goes into the ocean, right? So when it goes into the ocean, all the nutrients from the island goes into the ocean, and what happens? It brings the fish inshore, right? So fish start, you know, feeding, more fish come in, along with those little fishes and all those other reef fishes and whatever fishes that it attracts, come big fishes, sharks. So that's why you kind of wait until the water gets clear. Don't just jump in the water now. Right now the water is dirty. And you wait until all of that settles, and then you go back to the beach. But right now is like a really bad time to go into the beach. So, you know, the tourists out there, don't go in the water. Even if this is your last 3 days or your last 2 days, when we have a big rainstorm, stay out of the water until the water clears. Give it a day or two. Sometimes it takes a week. But give it a day or two when the water calms down and everything gets nice and clear, because you never know. When you're in murky water, you can't see what's around you, and you might just get attacked by a shark. So yeah, stay out of the water. Last tea for you all. So we have one local situation, which is the flooding and I hope some of you guys actually paid attention to to me the last time I shared that you guys should have your bug out bag ready inside your car. Hope you guys didn't get ready for the storm. But I don't know if this is international. Not really talking. I'm not really, you know, as far as the Iran war. You know what? I wonder if, like, we are getting different information from like the other Western countries like Spain and Italy, because apparently Italy has had a huge protest, and they are protesting against the war in Iran. Now, the prime minister has an election next year, and it seems like her opponents, whoever they may be, is out for her seat, honestly. I think whoever's her opponent is out for her seat, because man, how is that she has an election coming up and all of a sudden this war sparks a huge protest in Italy, and they're going crazy right now about this Iran war, and they think that the people in Iran didn't want the war, so they're upset with the prime minister because they don't want the war. And it's like they're against Israel and they're against America because of this war, because they believe in their minds that the Iranian people did not want the war, when the truth is the Iranian people wanted the war. They want the war. To me, I think maybe the sleeper cell there was awakened, but I think it is also because she's probably having a political attack. That's how these political attacks work. So whoever she is, whoever's against, whoever she's campaigning, or who is campaigning against her, her opponents, one of them probably looked at this as a gem. Man, that's a treasure. Holy smokes, I can make her look bad right now. Like, how she deals with this going to determine whether she's going to be prime minister next year, the following term. And you know what? I think in any case, she's going to need sleeper cells to wake up. Girl, you're going to need a really good PR person. You're going to need a very good public relations person. You better go and call up, like, shit, man. In that case, the only way for this prime minister to calm down the restlessness and to make herself look better is you and a PR person that is heavily integrated in your community to change their mind about this war, or straight out bring them facts about Iranians wanting this war. You're gonna need people from Iran to help you with that, because apparently the vast majority think that, you know, Iran is under attack and the people, or the civilians, are catching in. So, man, Prime Minister of Italy, I think your best bet would probably be to get a really strong PR group, and you better like fucking ASAP, like send out freaking media releases and shit like that. Like, you're gonna have to hit the root. Like, you're gonna have to try grassroots approaches where you have solid people in your community advocating for the Iranian people, that the Iranian people wanted the war. Because the amount of unrest that you're getting is either one, an activated sleeper cell, or two, your opponent is taking a nice cheap shot at you, and that's not cheap. That's a low ass blow. They hit you in your crotch, girl. I'm shitting you not. Whoever is your opponent is clocking you in your crotch, so you're gonna have to clock him back in his crotch with a stronger PR, with a stronger PR group. You're gonna have to make some major ass announcements, and you're gonna have to show some freaking TikToks or some Instagram films of the Iranian people wanting the war. Or you're gonna have to get somebody from Iran for help you with that. You know, have them do testimonies or something like that. But you gotta definitely get somebody in that group that is protesting to change their mind, or find out who's the lead person in that protest, who's heading these protests. And you better find them. Hey, that's false information. I'm gonna hit you for slander. You better chill the fuck down, chill the fuck out. But whatever it is, I mean, you better do something, and you better act on it fast, because it seems like not just Italy is being hit with this unrest, but so is Spain. And then Greece is targeted next, it looks like. So either one, you're getting hit with sleeper cells so that they can put pressure on the US and Israel, but applying pressure to you. Or your opponent, who's eyeballing your PM, your prime minister position, is taking a fucking low shot at you. And man, sister, you better go and freaking clock that fucker back in their crotch. If not, they're gonna win your position. They're gonna win your seat. To me, she comes off as really strong. She does. The way she addresses the community, she has strength behind that. And to me, I think the best way to address that issue of unrest is your PR people. You got to get a public relations group together that'll just squash that shit. Squash the protests. I would look for that person on the very top who's causing the unrest and ask. And if they're from a different country, I would deport their ass out of that country so fast. I shut you not, girl, because they're putting pressure on you. Yep. So Spain, as far as Spain goes, I believe Spain was taken over by the Islam. So they're definitely going to have, at one point, Spain was taken over by Islam. So it's inevitable that they would have a huge, influence over Spain. I can see Spain protesting because Spain kicked the Jews out. You know what I'm saying? So we already know that they were heavily influenced by Islam. So we're not going to focus on that. We're not going to focus on that. But Italy, you have warriors there. You have you have a strong people, and you are a strong woman, and you need to get your PR people ready for that, ready to squash that attack. You're going to need a really strong public relations person, or you better find out who's heading those protests. And if they're not from your country, if they are a naturalized citizen, deport their ass as soon as possible. So it gives them a clear announcement and a clear message that if you fuck around with me in my country, I will deport your ass. I will deport you back where you came from. Because, man, I would not mess around with that. They are messing around with your people. You guys are too strong of a country to be messed around like that with. I mean, yes, we have the whole, I get it. Especially whoever is against her opponent, I'm assuming it's a male because she's a very strong female. He'd probably love to knock her off her high horse. So yeah, sister, that's how you keep your high horse. Get your PR people together. Find out who's at the very top of that protest. And if they are not from your country or if they're naturalized, kick them out. Deport them as soon as possible. Yep. So, I think it's been a while. I made ginger snap cookies. Yeah, it doesn't look like a ginger snap cookie. It's more like a muffin, honestly. Well, like a soft cookie. I think it's more like a snickerdoodle with ginger. So I learned this recipe from that Loud Plant girl, the Black Forager. She's so animated. I love it. So she actually made it with magnolias, and we don't have magnolias here in Hawaii, or maybe we do and I don't know. We probably do somewhere on the island. I think it's probably at one of the botanical gardens, but I can't go over there and pick that. That's the botanical garden. I'm going to get arrested. So what I did was I made ginger snap cookies because she said she mentioned that magnolias taste like ginger, and I don't have magnolias, and I think, like I said, I think magnolias grow in the botanical garden and I can't go there and pick it. So I cut up some ginger. I made some simple syrup with the ginger pieces, and I made it very, very strong. The taste of the ginger is pretty intense. And then I also cut up some crystallized ginger, and I mixed it into this cookie batter. Now this cookie batter has no eggs, and it's so soft and it's so delicious. So there's that crunch, and once you get to the middle, it's soft. and it pairs super well with my tea. So my tea for tea time today is again uhaloa, and uhaloa grows wild in Hawaii. Uhaloa is good for your respiratory system. Uhaloa is also good for flus and colds. If you're feeling like your body feels weak, then definitely one leaf of that uhaloa and some hot water is perfect. Now, another thing is it's kind of earthy. The taste of the uhaloa is earthy, and along with my cookie, my ginger snap cookie, which is not really a ginger snap cookie, it's more like a soft cookie. I also made a melon simple syrup, thick simple syrup. So I added that to my tea. Not a lot, because that's a lot of sugar, and I gotta kind of cut down because I'm getting jiggity. I'm getting kind of jiggity. Not kind of, I'm just getting jiggity. And that's going to be a story for some other time. But yeah, it pairs well. There's no egg in it. There's no egg. There's flour. There's the simple syrup. I use that for the moisture. Baking powder, ginger, cinnamon sugar. It's a very simple recipe. And I made the balls pretty, like a medium size, like a golf ball size. And, oh gosh, it tastes really good. Good for your digestion. Ginger is really good for your digestion. So, with that, may your teacup always be full. And I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your guys' week. Love, peace, and aloha. Check you guys later.